so that I know what the president is doing, where he's going, what time, so that I'm able to align and give him support, as I've always been doing. But I cannot do it when I don't have access to that information.
Does the president know you're no longer in the WhatsApp group?
I don't know. I've not asked him.
You haven't?
No.
And it's been how long? You said a week?
I think it's about a week.
About a week.
About a week.
And you haven't spoken to him about it?
No, I've not spoken to him about it. To be truthful, initially I thought it's a little bit petty.
Okay.
But now that the matter has been raised, and I have seen Kenyans have been asking,
yeah,
and I have seen some mischievous bloggers in State House trying to insinuate that I'm absconding duty, I have decided to give this information to the people of Kenya in the spirit of the truthful man, a man who speaks the truth, so that the people of Kenya know exactly why I'm not in this function. I think I owe Kenyans the truth, because again, as I told you, Sam, I'm employed by the people of Kenya. They need to know why is the deputy president whom they elected not alongside the president in the functions. I think we owe that information to the people of Kenya.
And do you know why you would be removed?
I don't know, but I have told you there are mischievous people around the president.
Why are they mischievous against you, Deputy President?
Well, I don't know. How do you explain mischief? People have many motives. People have many motives. They are mischievous people trying to create a wedge between me and the president. And it's been going on for a while. And I take it in stride myself, because I'm also an elder, and I'm also an officer, you know, who is well trained. I was trained in paramilitary. I have tremendous capacity for perseverance and endurance. I'm able to take a lot of flack, just quiet, and taking it in good tiding, because I am quite mature in my leadership, in my approach to life. And many, many petty things, I have ignored them, because I sometimes I don't want to become petty. So there are many characters around there. You know, you remember, Sam, when the king was here in State House, the King Charles the Third.
Yeah.
I think I was the president had sent me, I think, to Berlin or to Brussels. I'm not sure. I can't remember exactly to which country. And so when the king was in State House, I was missing. Okay? A blogger who works for the president created a Photoshop. And I know you can remember. Just for mischief and to demean me. Created a Photoshop that, you know, the king is here working with the president. Then there was a window there. And Rigathi Gachagua had been locked in that window. And he actually circulated on his blog until Kenyans complained, and he brought it down. Just to demean the deputy president. And these are people who work for the president. And you wonder why. Why? How come you work for the president? You want to demean his deputy. And I told them, I raised it with them, the head of communication. I said, you think you are demeaning the deputy president? You are not. You are demeaning the president. If there is a perception that the president has locked his deputy in a room somewhere so that the king does not see him, who looks bad in this situation? It's the president who looks bad. So there are many people around the president who are very petty, who are full of mischief, and who are hell-bent on creating conflict within the presidency. I would like to ask the people who work for the president to be honorable and decent people. Let the deputy president have access to the president's diary, unless the president himself has expressly given instructions that he doesn't want his deputy to have access to his diary. If that is the case, I'll accept it.
Is it a possibility?
I don't think it's a possibility. I don't think President William Ruto would go that down. But if then I am not reinstated, now that I have brought it in the public and the president will know about it.
Yes.
If I'm not reinstated, then it follows. It is clear. And then the instructions
that says a lot about your relationship with the president. You just said that because you've raised it in the public, now the president will know about it. What happened to the two of you?
I don't know.
You were very happy on the day of inauguration. In the weeks before the election, you were very happy moving around the country.
Know. Looking at it, I am not a mystical person. I'm a Christian and a very true believer. But I think it looks like there is a jinx around this office of the deputy president. And President William Ruto had a very rough time with the President Uhuru Kenyatta.
Right.
But luckily for him, he had 5 years to work, and work very well without any disturbance. President William Ruto give a promise, a commitment to the people of Kenya. When he was complaining the way he was persecuted, he was mistreated, he was demeaned, he was harassed, he gave a commitment to the people of Kenya that under his watch, if they elect him as president, his deputy will never be demeaned, his deputy will never be harassed, his deputy will never be persecuted, his deputy will never be disrespected, and his deputy will be facilitated to work and work well. For the first year, that happened, and I'm grateful to him because he did not allow anybody to disrespect me. He did not allow anybody to interfere with my work. But the second year, I must tell you, that is happening. You know, cabinet ministers have been abusing the deputy president. Just the way it was happening during the time of Uhuru Kenyatta. You remember Tobiko called President William Ruto a clerk. Matiang'i wrote him a message that called him an idiot, and people disrespected him, people were intimidated, people were harassed, and President William Ruto made a commitment to the people of Kenya that if he is elected president, it will never happen that his deputy will be disrespected. Today, the deputy president is abused by people hanging on his car, and the president is quiet. Cabinet ministers have been abusing the deputy president is quiet. The president has given many promises to the people of Kenya. Some of them he has not been able to fulfill them because of the difficult economic situations that we are in, and it's understandable. But there's one promise he gave to the people of Kenya that requires no finance. It requires nothing. It requires him to be a gentleman and keep that promise. The promise he gave the people of Kenya, that under his presidency, his deputy will not be abused, his deputy will not be disrespected, his deputy will not be intimidated, his deputy will not be persecuted, his deputy will not be harassed. That, I think, the president, my boss, owes that to the people of Kenya to honor that promise so that Kenyans can trust him and he can win the trust of the people of Kenya, because this is something within his purview. He requires no funding, he requires no financing, he requires no urging. It's a commitment he gave. And he also gave it to me,
right,
with my wife and my children. When he asked me to be his running mate, I sat with him and my wife and my children, and we asked him, we have seen what you have gone through. If our father becomes your deputy, will he be taken through what you are taken through? And he gave us as a family a very firm commitment that that will never happen. I'm asking President William Ruto, my boss, please keep your promise to the people of Kenya. Stop those people who are abusing your deputy. Stop those ministers who are demeaning your deputy. Don't allow the criminal justice system to harass and intimidate your deputy the way you are intimidated. If you cannot keep the other promises to the people of Kenya, at least this one is a very simple promise. Be a good man. Be a good Christian. Keep that promise, President William Ruto, because that is a commitment you gave to the people of Kenya, and you gave me that promise in front of my wife and children that you will never allow anybody to demean me, to disrespect me, to harass me, to persecute me, to intimidate me, to coerce me. That is a commitment that you gave. I ask you, Mr. President, keep that commitment.
Are you frustrated?
I'm not. I am, let me tell you, son, you don't know me. Many people don't understand Rigathi Gachagua. Rigathi Gachagua is a seasoned leader who has seen many ups and downs. I underwent hell in the last administration to support President William Ruto. Cases were fabricated against me for studying with President William Ruto. My wealth was confiscated for studying with William Ruto. But I'm a very, very, very principled man. I stood with him to the last man. I never expected this to happen. You know, my family is devastated. You know, that this can be happening to their father. A man who went out of his way to start with President William Ruto and make sure he is elected president, and took the flag for it. And I say, even if there is a jinx around this position, At least President William Ruto was allowed to do his work for 5 years without interruption, without harassment, for 5 years. I've only done 1 year. And what is happening to me is worse than what happened to President William Ruto. I asked President William Ruto, please allow me to work. Allow me to work for the remaining 3 years. Let me serve the people of Kenya.
Okay.
Let me serve the people of Kenya and keep your promise. Keep your promise, Mr. President, so that you can win the trust of the people of Kenya as an honest person, as a person who keeps his promise. What is happening is not right. It doesn't augur well, and it has, to a great extent, eroded the trust of the people of Kenya in your leadership. Please, Mr. President, I am here willing to work, to serve you with the dedication, to serve the people of Kenya, to support you the way I've always done, to undertake whatever responsibilities that you assign me. But let the insults in your presence stop. Let people not hold night meetings. Let this money that is being used for these meetings assist us to pay pending bills, Mr. President. People are suffering. Resources are being mobilized to do politics, to divide the people of Mount Kenya region, to fight the deputy president. When Kenyans are suffering, when we are collecting taxes from people and we are saying we don't have enough, how come millions of shillings are being mobilized across the country to fight your deputy president, to undermine his work, to divide the people of Mount Kenya region for political purposes? I think this is the lowest moment of our administration, but I am hopeful that this can be corrected and all of us can go back to work and the people of Kenya can be given an opportunity to enjoy the fruits of their vote to the president and I.
Right, and I'm sure the president will get your message. Now, what was your role in the formation of the broad-based government?
My role was very simple, agreeing to the proposal by the president. President William Ruto sat me down and told me that he had made a decision that he needed to bring in other people so that we stabilize government and we bring everybody and we make everybody feel part of Kenya, and I was agreeable. And I told the president, if that is the intention, and to make our country move forward, improve the lives of our people, I'm agreeable. And I accepted 100%, and I support the broad-based government. I support the decision by the president. I embrace the people who joined us, and I am working well with them, and will continue working with them. What causes confusion is many people asking me, how is it that the president called for broad-based government to bring in everybody so that we have one cohesive country, so that everybody is part of it, yet people are planning to remove others? How does it work that we have brought in ODM people to come and join us, yeah? And then we are saying now that we have brought these ones, now we have the numbers to chase this one. Then the whole thing would not have been very genuine. If that is the case, it doesn't look then genuine, because I am told they are saying they didn't have the numbers to remove Gachagua. Now that Raila Odinga has come on board, they can use his members of parliament to join and kick Gachagua out. Then that would defeat the purpose of the broad-based government. But from what the president told me, and I believed him, is that we are bringing these people so that we have one country that is cohesive and we carry everybody along. And it made sense to me.
Do you still
I'm still persuaded that is the way to go.
Okay.
But from what I am hearing from these characters, for the meetings that they hold, and there are people very close to the president, is that the purpose of the broad-based government was to get numbers so that they can get the numbers from ODM, join the ones from Kenya Kwanza to chase Gachagua away. If that was the intention of the broad-based government, then that would have been the deception of the highest order. And I don't think people would ever forgive the president if that was the intention.
Deputy President,
and I don't think, from what he has explained to me, and I'm persuaded that he meant well for the country, and I'm in support of the whole thing. But if it turns out that the purpose of the broad-based government was to get numbers from ODM to join and put them together with UDA to impeach the deputy president, then the whole broad-based government would have been a deception. It would have been a con.
Have you seen the formal agreement between the president and Raila Odinga?
No, I trust the president. And many times, and many people accuse me of being a bit reckless. I am a very trusting person because when you are trusting, you trust others. The president gave me his word, and I was happy. And if there was any written agreement, I'm not aware of it. I took his word that we need to bring these people so that we work together to make our country move forward. By the way, Sam, so trusting is regarding Gachagua and his people from the Mount Kenya region, that in the whole of this matrix, we are the only people without a written agreement with President William Ruto. We just agreed as gentlemen. I can tell you, when Musalia Mudavadi came to join President William Ruto, they have an MOU. With Moses Wetangula, they have an MOU. Jefferson Kingi, they have an MOU. Alfred Mutua, they have an MOU. Everybody wrote an MOU with President William Ruto. I and the people of the mountain, because we are very trusting people, we trusted President William Ruto, and we agreed to move in one party. We did not even form our own party to bargain with or to negotiate with him. We accepted him because we believed and trusted him. And we moved together on trust. And what we agreed is what we are proceeding on. So I have never asked the president for any written document or anything. I always take his word for it. Because I'm trusting, so I also trust.
Do you regret that decision?
I don't regret the decision, but I have heard many of our supporters saying that it was an indiscretion on my part. I have not yet interrogated whether it was an indiscretion on my part or not. But many of our people, many of our supporters from the Mount Kenya region think that there was an indiscretion on my part. But I want to say I think I did the right thing because trust is very important. And we gave President William our trust. We expect him to reciprocate that trust.
Okay.
And one of the ways for him to win our trust is to stop the humiliation of the deputy president.
Okay. Deputy President, I think you've made that a point quite clearly. But tell me, even as you move ahead to now manage the broad-based government, you're out of the president's diary, you're not getting communication on the events he's holding. How then do you even coordinate the cabinet committees yourself? Have you chaired the committees since the reconstitution of the cabinet?
No, I have not. I chair cabinet committees, and we used to have 6 cabinet committees. We have collapsed them into 2. We had a cabinet meeting, I think, on Tuesday, and we agreed we have 2 committees, one on governance, one on production, and I'll be chairing those committees unless advised otherwise. And those committees have been very good, Sam, and part of the work that I've done for this country and for the president. I've held 35 cabinet committees since we were sworn in, and we have prosecuted.
You said how many?
35.
35.
Cabinet committees, and we have prosecuted 333 agenda items. And what those cabinet committees do, they are very, very thorough and very, very interactive, and very, very exhaustive, because we even invite PSs, we invite CEOs, we invite technical people, and we do interrogate business of cabinet in a very comprehensive manner, so that by the time we go to the cabinet that is chaired by the president, more or less most of the issues have been agreed on, and the president gives his thinking and he gives his direction, and sometimes he agrees, sometimes he doesn't agree with us, and give it to him. Where he doesn't agree with us, he convinces us and we get convinced. And the president, in my view, did very well to set up the cabinet committees, because the president should be a consumer of finance, because he's a very, very busy person. And the kind of work we do here in cabinet committees, sometimes 6 to 7 hours, will be a bit heavy for the president because of his duties.
What is the reason
so we continue, and those cabinet committees have worked very well.
Okay.
And I am very, very, very clear that we will continue to have the cabinet committees.
Right.
And we'll be able to look at the cabinet memos that have come, and we'll be able to proceed to the cabinet for the final approval.
If they were that effective, were they being reduced from 6 to 2?
No, what happened is that there were 6, and then we were having issues of quorum. And sometimes one member would appear in 3, 4 committees. So it was becoming logistically a nightmare, that this committee is meeting, then you have to go, you have to come back. And I think we agreed in cabinet, and it's a good decision. We reduced them into 2, one to do with governance, it has 11 ministries, the other one to do with production, it has 11 ministries. And I think it will work very well. Okay. And we'll have the first cabinet committee, I think, next week, and we'll be able to process all the agendas that are before us so that we can proceed to the cabinet. You
promised the people, or rather, during the campaigns you used to say that when Raila Odinga came to the government, under the handshake arrangement with President Uhuru Kenyatta, that's when you lost the Jubilee government of second term. And you said you'd never allow Raila Odinga into your government. Now it appears he has quite a hand in it. Yeah. Is that a deal breaker for you?
Well, I look at it differently. Only a fool doesn't change his mind. We had President Uhuru Kenyatta, our 4th president, brought Raila to government and asked us to support Raila Odinga, which we, the people from the Mount Kenya region, were very unhappy about. And we disagreed with President Uhuru Kenyatta, and President William Ruto persuaded us that Raila is the one who has caused problems in government. He persuaded us, and he's a very persuasive leader, and we were persuaded. President William Ruto persuaded us that if we allow Raila Odinga to become president, this country will not move forward. And as a result, we disagreed with President Uhuru Kenyatta and rejected Raila Odinga and gave our vote to President William Ruto. So when we came into office, it was my agreement with President William Ruto that we will not allow Raila into government. But along the way, my boss, President William Ruto, changed his mind. And he is the boss. And in this situation, Sam, we are not in a co-presidency. I'm just a principal assistant to the president. Mm-hmm. What he says is what carries the day, and I don't argue with him. I may have reservations, and I raise it with them. He persuades me many times. Other times he overrules me. And when I realized that he started having a relationship with Raila Odinga, I slowly gave way, because the boss is always right, and that is why many people say, oh, regarding Gachagua, he had said he has put traps in State House so that Raila Odinga has not come. Yeah, that was my agreement with President William Ruto. But that is not my house. The minute I realize they are meeting, they are interacting, I'm also not a stupid person, and I don't have to be told, in black and white. I relaxed, and I stopped even attacking Raila Odinga, and I let the president have his way. So by the time he decided to bring him into government, I had already formed an opinion that the president wants to work with Raila Odinga, and I was quite happy with it. In any case, my brother and long-time confidant, President Uhuru Kenyatta, had told us that Raila is a good man. President William Ruto convinced us otherwise. And we abandoned our son Uhuru Kenyatta, and we decided to go with President William Ruto. Now President William Ruto has told us exactly what President Uhuru Kenyatta had said, that Raila is a good man, we can work with him. If two presidents says a man is good, who are you to argue with him? So we have said, Raila Odinga is a good man, and let's work with him. Let's make him part of our political process, and let us build the country together. And I want to say, myself and my political base, the Mount Kenya region, have no problem whatsoever with Raila Odinga. In fact, what people are saying, and it's very interesting, they are saying a Mount Kenya king does not pronounce himself twice on a matter. Our son, President Uhuru Kenyatta, had pronounced himself on this matter. So that pronouncement carries the day. As we stand today, me and the mountain people are quite happy with Raila Odinga, and we don't have a problem with him whatsoever. And I can tell you, because it's important that I say so, myself and the mountain people feel very bad, that we punished Uhuru Kenyatta, we demeaned him, we told him off, we embarrassed him for telling us that Raila Odinga is a good man, and we were very, very brutal with him, and we really, really, really hammered him. It has come to our knowledge that it was very unfair, because his crime was to tell us that Raila Odinga is a good man, and we decided that Raila Odinga is a bad man, William Ruto is a good man. Now that President William Ruto has said Raila is a good man, that is why I apologize to Uhuru Kenyatta and his family, and I owed him an apology on behalf of the community, because what he had told us is what the president has told us. We had no business fighting him. We had no business disrespecting him. We had no business humiliating him. Right. So myself and the community, owe Uhuru Kenyatta an apology. And I give that apology on behalf of the community.
Okay.
And we said, we know, because that's what he had told us. And we were very unfair to him because,
knowing what you know today, would you have made a different decision if you knew that in 2022?
Well, you cannot talk backwards. I can't say what we would have done or not done, but things keeps on changing. Yeah, but now we are saying everybody is good.
You've said that once the king pronounces themselves, the pronouncement stands. Does that mean Uhuru Kenyatta is still the king of the mountain?
Oh, yes, yes. You didn't know? Uhuru Kenyatta is the undisputed king of the mountain.
And what is your relationship with him?
Good. Brotherly.
When did you do that?
Oh, we talk. You know what happens with our community? We are a very interesting community. We don't fight. We fight very rarely, and when we do, when we realize we fought without a good reason, we patch up.
So when was that?
Oh, yeah.
How many months ago? Which month? Which year?
We've been, when we realized we made a mistake, I'm the one who made the first move of reaching out and apologizing, because really we were unfair to Uhuru Kenyatta. We were very, very unfair. Sometime I really feel very bad that I was so brutal on a man who was my great friend, my confidant, my brother, my kinsman. I was so brutal on him. And his crime was only one, saying Raila is a good man. And then the man I said, we don't want Raila Odinga, we want William Ruto. Then he comes and says the same thing. I felt very stupid, In fact, another day, a very senior person abused me at the airport and called me stupid 5 times. And I looked at it, I was very bitter, but I looked at it later at night, and I thought probably he was right. I think I was stupid to fight my own brother, my kinsman, my confidant, for no good reason, for saying another person is a good man. I really regret what I did, and my community does regret, and we are very apologetic to the Kenyatta family. And what happens in my community is a saying that making a mistake is not bad, but repeating is unforgivable. And by the way, let me tell you some. From the experience of my community, myself and the leaders and the whole community fighting Uhuru Kenyatta, our son, a decision has been made by the community. In fact, it's a covenant. Never again shall the people of the mountain ever fight their own.
When was that decision made?
The people, the Meru, the Embu, they just talk slowly. That has been agreed on. And that's why you find when a few leaders are being told to fight regarding Gachagua, they are finding it very difficult, because a decision has already been made.
When?
That, like almost a year ago.
By who?
By the community.
In what forum?
Don't worry.
There are millions.
You don't know our people.
There are millions
our
of people.
Our people don't talk in meetings. They have a way of communicating. That is how they drove the British out of this land, by communicating silently. There is a covenant among the Mount Kenya people that they will never again, ever be confused by anybody, be used by anybody to fight their own leader. They will never do it. And I also want to tell you, for the avoidance of doubt, for those who are trying to divide the Kikuyu, the Meru, and Embu, it's an exercise in futility. Those 3 are one. And finally, they will be one. And, we have seen these things happen during the Azimio campaign. You use a lot of money, you call meetings, you call MCAs, you call people in tents, you give them money, you persuade them, they take your money. Finally, they make a decision. And you see what they did in 2022. I can tell you, this attempt to divide the Kikuyu, the Embu, and the Meru is an exercise in futility. You can spend billions, you can spend money, you can have meetings, night meetings in hotels, in where, in what forums.
Okay.
But finally, the people of the mountain are one, and they will never be divided, and they will not agree. They have made mistakes before, they will not repeat them.
Deputy President, on the 26th of June, 2024, you were in Mombasa, addressing a press conference shortly after the President had spoken, and you were questioning when the rain started beating the government of Kenya Kwanza, the administration of Kenya Kwanza. And you went out to attack Nuruddin Haji, the Director General of the National Intelligence Service, accusing him that he should take responsibility of the Gen Z protest that led to what we saw at Parliament on June 25th. What was your role in those protests?
None. My statement in Mombasa is on record. I don't want to delve into it. I pronounced myself. I said what I thought of the situation. And that remains my truth. And anybody can challenge me otherwise. I don't want to delve into that statement because it was a public statement for consumption.
Do you stand with it?
I said what I said.
Do you stand with it?
Have I ever issued another statement countering that one?
You believe the National Intelligence Service is responsible for the protests?
I've said the sum. Please allow me. I don't want to go into the